Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Geeknd Live Andor analysis. I am Jamie and I am just a tourist held against my will in this Mexico City Airbnb where, weirdly enough, Andy Serkis is staying here as well. Very odd. Anyway, spoilers will be coming. More spoilers. Sorry if that first one got you. But good to see so many of you here live in the chat already. I can see Mr. Matthew Stokes is in the house. Peter is here. Glenn, the spooky hippie, it is that time of year. He's here too. Also, Leonard Powdroy Girl and Clays as well. Gaz Nottingham. Have I missed anybody? Also, hello to you if you're watching in the future, aka on the replay. All right, I think I've covered everybody, but a lot of chat going on. Gaz and Fluffy's here as well. A lot of chat going on. Anders is here too. A lot of chat going on about Tales of the Jedi. Just to say, I haven't seen it yet. I prioritized Andor over it, but I will watch all 6 episodes in time for next Wednesday's stream. So next Thursday's stream, will be a longer one. This one will probably be a shorter one than usual, actually, because I got to fly. Tacos are calling here in Mexico City, but good to see so many of you here. And we are going to talk about Andor episode 8. Obviously, feel free to talk about Tales of the Jedi in the chat. Also, I'm hearing mostly good things about it. Hello to Explaining Computers as well. Chris has not seen it yet, so maybe hold back on the spoilers for Tales of the Jedi in the chat. But hey, give your opinions, give your thoughts on it, and hello to Jane Flakes also. So, Andor episode 8. What did you think to this one? I've seen some, actually quite a lot of some, call it a filler episode, and I'm not going to dispute that, but I certainly am okay with it if it is what they call a filler episode. I think it's fair to say that the plot didn't exactly accelerate, but I actually enjoyed spending more time seeing the misery that being under the Empire's thumb is really like, the cruelty of it, the oppression. Oh my. I'm not sure what that says about me, but I got off on that, so to speak. And we saw it not just in the prison, but also on Ferrix and even towards old Cyril as well. Poor dude needs to catch a break. We got a few big appearances. One, not a surprise, Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera. One was a surprise, and that was seeing old Snoke back. That was definitely a bit of a surprise. Although at this point, I think it's safe to assume that Andy Serkis will show up in absolutely everything you ever see at least once. He is good, but he's bloody everywhere as well, isn't he? But I've got no problem against him, but I feel like he puts a lot of people out of work. Anyway, he is good. And he definitely pulled off this role, very convincing, and there was shades of Squid Game to the sport that he brought to the prison, the section of the prison that he was managing. And there we see Andor, and I think this is quite important, even though the plot didn't accelerate too much. The time we spent with Cassian, which wasn't that much time, because let's be honest, he's locked up in prison, but I think it was quite important because we're starting to see his hatred for the Empire grow. This once passive man, soon to be hardened rebel. And he meets future mate as well as perhaps his future self in terms of his attitude towards the Empire, Melshi as well. So not just Saw, not just Mon Mothma, but we've now had Melshi from Rogue One and also the alien dude, right? So when we go to see, when Luthen goes to see Saw, where he's hiding out, we see the alien dude, right? Don't know his name, so I'm just calling him alien dude, guarding the base outside, which is pretty much what he does in Rogue One, as well on Jeddah. So we're getting more and more Rogue One characters showing up. So I believe we're surely just an episode or 2 away from Borgala showing up as well. And then the truth will be told. The truth will be seen. So, yeah, I'm not going to dispute the filler claims, but absolutely not a problem for me. I think a lot of the strong points of this series have been the amount of time we've had to spend with various characters and the breathing space that the pacing of this series has allowed. I do think it's quite funny, but the rebels are after Andor, or Luthen's lot at least, and the Empire are as well, big time, yet they've got him anyway. And they don't even know it. The mission has been accomplished. Oh, Keefy boy is in the prison house. And of course, we do see the horrors of Imperial prison labor and Andor's guilt as well when he learns that the doubling of, it was doubled, right? The inmate's jail time is a direct consequence of his actions and others, of course. So you got to assume that he'll not just want to break himself out, he'll also want to break them all free as well. And we're going to see, I'm sure, the bond between him and Melshi, good old Melshi, form too, because he's got to break out. He's sentenced to 6 years. He wouldn't show up in Rogue One if he didn't break out. So it's got to happen, and I hope it happens next week, to be honest. Right, they are my overall thoughts of the episode. We'll give a rating for it out of 10 in a moment. I'm going to pop over to the chat to see what you guys thought of Andor episode almost said 1. That'd be a throwback. Episode 8, of course. Just finding the position in the chat where we're talking about Andor episode 8. Because as I mentioned, there was a lot of Tales of the Jedi chat in there, which is all good. And of course, it's taco day every day, to be honest. I've been kind of locked in here all day. I told you, I mean, I'm just a tourist, but I have been locked in here all day trying to get a number of work things done. And I is starving. So I will either die on this stream or leave this stream in the next few minutes to go and get tacos. Right. Okay. Rob H, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Gaz and Fluffy says, got massive Blade Runner vibes with the prison scenes and that music. Yeah, the soundtrack for this series continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. And yeah, Jane, you mentioned this Cassian's look when he realized that he was in prison was beautifully done, and also the realization, I think you said before, the look on his face when he realized that his new pal's jail time has been doubled because of him, really. Glenn says, man, there must be a nasty pandemic of athlete's foot at that prison. Yeah. Jane Flake says Andor was fab, but Tales of the Jedi was okay. Matthew Stokes. I almost said Matthew Serkis, renaming you there, Stokesy. Matthew Stokes would take more Matthew Serkis. That has been confirmed in the form of a comment in the live chat. Yeah, I think we're going to get more. We're going to get more Snokey Serkis next week for sure. That was genuinely a surprise. Although, as I mentioned, it's pretty much safe to assume that he will show up in everything you ever see. Right, Peter, who's not been particularly hot on Andor. He's not been particularly cold on it either, has to be said. Lukewarm last week, I would say, weren't you, Peter? There was a lot of filler and fan service went to, I don't agree there's too much fan service in this series in general, let alone in this episode. The double FF is an indication of what I thought of the episode, the filler and fan service there. Okay, well, I look forward to your rating soon, Peter. Glenn's never watched Squid Game. Don't worry. It was only a vague reference, to be honest, just shades of Squid Game to it, which is kind of turning a prison environment into a game of sport, but for survival, to be honest. James Flaked on Squid Game. Squid Game is fab with subtitles in original language. I hated the English dub. Yeah, I'm with you on that vibe. There's another series of Squid Game in production, I believe. Two Tubes. That's the alien dude. So we can give him his proper name now. Thank you, Gaz Nottingham. Two Tubes. Two Tubes was there, right? Doing his thing. Guarding and also Padroid Girl. Oh, is this the full name? Edrio Two Tubes? Oh, if it is, well, you have one name bettered or two name bettered. Gaz Nottingham there, Power Droid Girl. Right, where are we? Jane, sorry, I haven't checked out your blog yet, but I will bring it up next week and also link to it in the video description of next week's stream. But feel free to put a link for anybody that wants to go and see your blog on your Andor views. And a terribly rude joke about Tales of the Jedi. Feel free to put that link in the chat here as well. But I will read it and check its suitability ahead of broadcasting it to the world on next week's stream. I will broadcast it anyway. I think Matthew Stokes here is talking about Andor episode, a wicked blend of anxiety, tension, and claustrophobia. Padua Girl says, saw Guerrero hanging out around 7 miles from where I'm watching this and a stone's throw from where the Doctor regenerated on Sunday. So they are canon in each other's universes now, right? That is Doctor Who and Star Wars. Where was that, Padua Girl? I know you mentioned it on the Patreon chat recently. Where is that again? Because I am going to be posting a very short Andor location video soon, just basically based on 2 London locations. But eventually, I definitely want to do a full UK location tour. So yeah, where was that? Chad, the stopwatch Campbell, who has been slacking in the stopwatch duties department during the Andor run, but I know he's very busy at the moment. He says hello. 5 episodes behind. October is the worst month for Chad. Well, it's almost over, mate. So I hope you'll be back in force in November. Explaining computers, Chris says it felt a bit TH1138. The movie, not the trooper. George Lucas, of course. To me, at times, that's how it felt to Chris at times this episode. But I liked episode 8 in a nice weekly trip to the world of Star Wars kind of way. But plot-wise, ep 7 and 8 could have been one ep. I don't disagree with that. Someone who's also running behind and also has been running is Simon D. I know he's not watching Andor, so he's also running behind, as has Chad. But I think Andor is going to be one that Simon enjoys. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Still not started Andor, so we'll wait until I've watched and not have spoilers. Yeah, there is one big spoiler out there already. He dies in Rogue One. Yeah, mate, I think you'll enjoy it. And I think, waiting to binge it, I think it's going to be a treat to binge this series, to be honest. So you're probably doing it, I don't think there's a wrong way around, but you're doing it a good way around. There's no right or wrong. And I always mispronounce the name, but Tigrillo Customs is back. Greetings from Costa Rica, Lufan and Saw Gerrera. The best scene. Awesome. 10 out of 10. Okay, let's start the ratings. Give me your ratings out of 10, please, for not Tales of the Jedi. Save Tales of the Jedi for next week, because quite a few of us, well, at least me and Chris, haven't seen it yet. So let's get your ratings in out of 10. If you're here live, if you're watching in the future in the comments for Andor episode 8. Meanwhile, Matthew Stokes says the prison Cassian finds himself in doesn't seem so difficult to that which anybody just working for the Empire seems to be in. Sorry, so different. It doesn't seem to be so different to that which anybody just working for the Empire seems to be in. Yeah, I do really like the humanization of some of the Imperials in this series. It's really well done. If you F up, you suffer. Exactly that, Mr. Stokes. Gaz Nottingham, Saw Gerrera is becoming one of the most crossed over characters now, and I'm all for it. Clone Wars. And I saw, I think Peter asked, have I finished Clone Wars? That was ages ago, mate. Old news, man. It's Rebels that I've been, people have been encouraging me to get through. And I am on season 2, but it's stalled of late. And mostly, nothing against Rebels, mostly because of the fact there's been so much to watch. Better Call Saul. Rings of Power. I'm now watching The Watcher. And obviously Andor. Tales of the Jedi still. Probably should try House of the Dragon at some point. But anyway, yes, Clone Wars, Rebels, Rogue One, Fallen Order, Andor almost as crossed over as Andy Serkis is. I feel like Andy Serkis eventually will give Warwick Davis a run for his money in playing different Star Wars characters. Okay, so if you're wondering where this Star Wars Doctor Who in-universe crossover, essentially canon thing took place, Winspit Quarry in Dorset. I'll put details in the Discord. Deets in the Dis. Thank you very much, Power Droid Girl. And Darth Jar Jar's here. You know you've made it when Darth Jar Jar joins your stream live. Thank you, Darth Jar Jar, for validating me. Okay, I can see the scores starting to come in. Jane Flakes. This is for Andor episode 8. I love the prison scene. So 10 out of 12 for Cheesy Feet and Cassian's Fate. We know his fate. Spoiler, his feet. Glenn, the Spooky Hippie, 8.6 out of 10. We've got an 8 out of 10 from Clays. And also, already did, mate. also already shouted user out. All right, Explaining Computers, for me, 7 for him, 7.8 out of 10, just a little less than last week, but good Star Wars TV. So once again, we're getting, pretty high ratings. Oh, no, that's going to change in a moment, but not yet. Padroid Girl, 10 out of 10, as per usual, of course. Padroid Girl is loving this series so far. And to be honest, I don't think that's going to change with... What we got? 4 episodes to go. All right, Peter, who actually I think gave his highest rating last week, I think now has given his lowest rating by far. 3 out of 10. And that is only for the score and the scenery, which is great. Yeah, you can't argue with that. This show does, you're right, as you say, looks great and sounds great as well. I don't agree with your score, but you are entitled to that opinion, and I will never hold it against you, Peter. Episode 8 is probably a 7.33 recurring. That's from Matthew Stokes. Is that, aside from Peter's, obviously, is that the lowest score we've had? The second lowest score we've had? I think it might be. All right, Rob H is here with an 8.5, feeling like we watched the first third of a classic movie. Great setup, but needs the payoff of the next 2 eps. I think that's going to come. I don't think we can have another full episode in prison, but then again, with this show, with the pace of it, I suppose that can't be ruled out. We shall see. Gaz Nottingham is here with an 8.75 out of 10. And there's a rating for Glenn there, an 8.76 from Gaz. I'm going to give this one... I'm going to go possibly my lowest score yet. I kind of can't remember my early scores now. I don't think I've gone below an 8, which is really high for me. I'm going to go below an 8 for the first time. I'm going to go with a 7.5 for this one. Could drop down to a 7 on second viewing. There's a few things I need to make my mind up on still. But 7.5, I'm giving it the benefit of that, 7.5. Hey, who knows? I think when I binged this, my scores have been pretty high anyway. But I think when I binge this series eventually, I think overall the score is going to go up. And hey, overall, so far, the series score is high, and it's going to end up being high, I'm pretty sure of that. Matthew Stokes says, I stick by what I said the other week. Each episode feels like it's a lower score than the series will be. Yeah, good point. Overall, I'm giving Andor an 8.5 so far. Yeah, I think maybe even Peter will be giving, certainly based on a 3, will be giving a higher overall series score than episodes individually. What are they building in the prison? Yeah, we don't know that. That wasn't said, was it? Are they building Death Star parts in the prison? Well, as this is the prequel to the prequel that was Rogue One, then I think that's a safe bet, but we'll see. As mentioned by somebody quoting Tony Gilroy recently, I think in the Discord, was it you, Jane, or was it Padroid Girl? Tony Gilroy only really does things if they're necessary. And that could well be necessary. Although, would the Death Star be further along in terms of its construction at this point? Is this, 2 years ahead of Rogue One? I know. It would still need parts, wouldn't it? So perhaps, it's parts to complete the Death Star. Hey, Andor actually contributed to the very thing that destroyed him, right? In the end? Potentially. We don't know that yet. We're speculating. Ashley Stebbings. Hope you're good, my friend. Long time no speak. Right. I think I've got all the scores. We've got an extra score here from Rob H. Look at that for Mon Mothma's outfits alone. Hey, Mon Mothma's scenes are always so compelling. Daniel Rigger over in Canada, it has been a long time. Shame on you for turning your back on these streams. But like a lot of people, I think a lot of people are very behind on Andor. I think a lot of people over time have slowly switched off to Star Wars, and that's fine. But I hope they can switch on again for Andor, because I think they will be rewarded. Hope you haven't been spoiled with anything here for this episode. Not much happened in this episode, to be honest. There's not much to spoil, apart from a big appearance that I feel like's being broadcasted enough over social media by now. But I hope you're doing good, Daniel, and hopefully you can catch up on the series and on the streams soon. So, yeah. Padro girl here. The shape of those parts look like they're part of a circular superstructure. So, hey, well, I guess we're going to find out. Or Matthew Stokes, on the other hand, I figured he was manufacturing the center bosses for TIE Fighter wings. Again, I guess we're going to find out. Soon. It feels like they're holding off information purposely on it, because I don't know why. If it wasn't that important, like TIE Fighter wings, then they wouldn't just throw it in, in casual convo in this episode. Hey, Joe Mega64. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Mon Mothma scenes are weirdly riveting. That's how I'd describe it too, man. Very well put. I can't wait for the family drama each week, maybe even more than the shootout stroke heist drama. So is it right to say then that Mon Mothma married her dreadful husband at the age of 15? Is that right? Did I do that right? Have I done the math right there? Was it even said? Why have I got that in my head? Because that's illegal in the UK, right? You got to be 16 to get married. Is that right? Or is it legal in like Scotland and like Gretna Green and Vegas? I don't know. And Coruscant or wherever Mon Mothma grew up. Right, I'll go through a few more final comments. And hey, you can't put these streams at the same level as Andor. Great series, average streams are probably more fair. But thank you, Daniel. Really enjoying the very different takes on planets and not just Tatooine variants. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see Tatooine in this series. And no offense to the planet and its inhabitants, but we need a break. We need a break from it. It is very refreshing, the takes on the different planets, as you said. Daniel. Glenn the Geeky Hippie, back on the prison and what they're manufacturing in the prison factory. I figure what they are making is something they will need an endless supply of. So TIE Fighter parts make sense. So backing up Matthew Stokes' theory there. And yeah, a sound one. Right. I think I have caught up. Apparently, there are places in the US where you can get married at 15 with parental approval. I feel like Mon Mothma's, well, hey, she is a rebel, but I feel like in terms of, I don't know, when it comes to laws at that age anyway, pre-rebellious nature, she would have done things by the book. So I'm sure she got parental approval. Married at 15, senator at 16. Term limits, anyone? Yeah, man. What a life she's led. All right, everybody. I think I've caught up. So this is in regards to this is Mon Mothma's home planet, right? Trandrillian traditions are a bit messed up. Child marriage and drinking live worms in lemonade. WTF? Yeah, but she passed on the live worms, didn't she? Hey, I'm in Mexico. I'll take a worm in my beverage right now. Although I've never actually had that experience in Mexico. I've eaten insects in Mexico, but I've never had the worm in the tequila here. More of a mezcal kind of guy. Anyway, everybody, I think I've caught up with the comments. So it was good to chat again. We'll be back this time next week. We'll do it longer. We'll talk about Tales of the Jedi again, because I'm seeing some positivity towards it. I'm seeing some just like meh towards it. And I'm also seeing, haven't seen it yet towards it. And I'm in the latter camp there. So we'll talk more about it next week freely and openly, as well as Andor episode 9. But what was eating insects like? I think there are crickets here that are quite popular. And I don't know, it's not something I make a habit out of, but occasionally, when it's offered to you, when in Rome, squeeze some lime on them. Even in your guac, it ain't too bad. They're kind of like a little bit chewy. But you need the lime. You need the lime on it for me. A little bit chewy, tastes like chicken. But I'm not the biggest meat eater in the world. I've said this before. I'm flexitarian, baby. But while I'm here in Mexico, it's harder to avoid meat because it's, Mexican food's great and it's quite meaty at the same time. So I am eating more meat than usual on this trip here, but this time have not had any insects, but I probably will before I leave. Any Diego Luna chatter in Mexico, Jamie? Well, he's a big star here, of course, and definitely seeing a lot of Andor billboards and posters on the buses, because they have the London double-decker style buses in Mexico City, on Reforma anyway, at least. And I don't know if I said this before, but last time I was here, in the south of the city is an area called Koyakam, and he has a bar there. And when it first got suggested to me of going there, I kind of didn't want to because I just assumed it was going to be something quite glitzy, and I like real Mexican, hangouts. But actually, it's the complete opposite to what you would imagine a celebrity bar/restaurant to be. It's actually made for locals. Koyakan it's a little bit touristy. It's where Frida Kahlo's house is, a museum, but a lot of locals live there because the rent prices are lower than other areas of the city. This is boring, isn't it? Like Roma Norte and Condesa. So it's quite a local area. And Diego Luna made a bar/restaurant, cantina, let's say, for locals, and it really does have a local feel. And I was definitely the only foreigner in there when I went, so it was cool. That's my only Diego Luna connection here in his home city of Ciudad de Mexico. No, he was not in Cancun, Daniel. He was in Blackpool, England, actually, which is just as exotic and hot as Cancun all year round. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for joining me, and do what Gaz says, smash that like button on your way out. But before you leave, you know what we've got to do, because when I click on end broadcast, there's an awkward lag where I've finished saying what I need to say, but StreamYard hasn't. It hasn't caught up with me because I'm always a few steps ahead. So we've got to wave to fill that awkward moment. So thank you, everybody. Have a great end of the week. Great start of next week. And we'll talk on Thursday about Andor episode 9 and Tales of the Jedi. I love you all. And I am waving, and I hope you are too, because end broadcast has been clicked. Keep waving, everybody.